What if I told you right now that if you've ever clicked on any of these videos online that you see, those adult movie videos that most people they're so addicted to, understand that you have been hacked. So this is a white hat hacker who apparently he knows about all these things. So let's just see what this guy is talking.
It's like something I would use to charge my phone.
So the NSA is selling these for $20,000.
This is Ryan Montgomery, a renowned white hat hacker celebrated for his ethical approach to cybersecurity.
Listen. Right hand. Okay? This is the right hand.
You might have seen him in the viral Sean Ryan podcast or caught his fascinating session on PBD's recent podcast. What you're about to see will urge you to think twice about where you charge your phone and whose charger you use. Watch this critical excerpt from the PBD podcast.
I'm going to show you what it does, but it can monitor your keystrokes, so you can put this in line in between your
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, you can put this in line in between your keyboard and your computer. I could put this in straight into your phone. I can leave it there and come back later. This thing has its own Wi-Fi network that I connect to inside of this. And then if you were to, you can match this up to yours and see it's absolutely identical.
100% same thing.
Yeah, so if you didn't have that little orange thing on there, you'd easily lose that.
Wow.
This device may look like a simple USB charger, but it's far more complex than it appears. Embedded within the plastic casing is a Wi-Fi chip and a miniature computer, as explained by Ryan. Perhaps this explains why the NSA sells these devices for $20,000. Watch closely as Ryan demonstrates to Patrick what this seemingly innocuous, unconnected cable can achieve.
I'm gonna plug this into USB-C, which, you can pick whatever one you want. So that's plugged into USB-C. This side, I'm not going to connect to anything. I could charge my phone with it. I could do whatever I want with it. But what I'm going to do is on my phone, I'm going to go to Wi-Fi. I'm going to click OMG. Now I just created a network from this cable that's plugged in. It's not plugged in.
We don't have an OMG network here.
No.
Okay.
No, and this is not plugged into anything.
Okay.
So this is creating a Wi-Fi network.
Yep.
I'm going to go to it in my browser. And then I have an interface here that I can connect with. So I'm going to go in the file menu. I'm going to load payload 1. There we go. All right. So ready? Now I'm going to hit build and run, which I could be very far away from the computer. This is just showing an example of it. See how fast that's typing?
What's it doing?
It's typing PBD podcast and 0 Day was here.
Get out of
So
here.
that could have been anything. That could have been a malicious command. That could have been a virus that it downloaded. That could have been anything that I wanted it to be. And I have now remote control over this cable that if I plug right into my phone, watch, plug it into my phone,
Charges.
charging. You would have no idea that this implant is in your house.
If this demonstration didn't scare you, I don't know what will. I know it scares me. Think about how often we charge our phones using public charging stations in...
Now, the thing is that's funny is that, first of all, this device costs $20,000. So it's like, what are the chances that you go to some random person and then you charge your phone and they actually have this $20,000 cable? What are the chances, bro? What are the chances? Probably low. They say if you ever... don't ever buy a $20,000 charger, wire charger, because obviously it's going to contain these things. But then, okay, then how does this even how is this harmful? Because no one's really going to own this.
Malls, airports, or other places when we're low on battery. We rarely hesitate, do we? But what is coming is even more frightening than you might imagine. This has happened to anyone who has ever watched adult films at least once. What you're about to hear next is very concerning. Let's listen to John McAfee, who tragically passed away on June 23, 2021, under suspicious circumstances in a Spanish prison cell.
Yo, I never knew this guy is famous. I used to use his antivirus software, and apparently this guy has interviews. I'm like, wait, is it the same John McAfee that I used to use his software? Yeah, apparently this guy is actually famous.
Rest in peace.
While you are watching your phone is watching you. This is just a fact of life. The operating system is designed specifically to watch you, listen to you, find out where you are in order to help you. It needs to know who your friends are. It needs to know what you're saying in your text messages. It needs to listen to you sometimes.
Habibi. When I tell you that this whole Dajjal system is already happening right here. This is the biggest proof that the Dajjal system is already happening right here. You do realize, like, these phones that we have. Look, let me show you something. So right here, right here. You see? That's the living room, right? Do you see a TV? Do you see any TV right here? No TV, bro. No TV. The other day, I invited my family over, and they were like, "The heck, you don't have a TV?" I'm like, "Screw TV. Who needs a TV?" They say if you ever bring a TV in your house, I'm not gonna give you the full quote, but if you ever put a TV in your house, it's technically like you inviting the devil in your house. Because first of all, these things are black mirrors. Black mirrors. So even your phone. Have you noticed whenever you're studying, if you ever have your phone next to you, just like this, you can't even focus on studying because your phone sucks your energy. Somehow it just sucks your energy. TV is the biggest black mirror in the house. It's like a portal to a whole other dimension that is linked to the devil. You might think these things they sound so silly, but your phone, if you think of something, your phone catches it. Somehow it knows all these things. The other day actually I saw one of my what's it called? My friends back in middle school. He was the smartest guy in the class. Apparently this guy got into like some trouble with the government where they're going after him because he said something controversial, and somehow this guy just started becoming like popular online. He's my friend from middle school. He remembers me. I remember him, and I saw him going like getting inside this issue. All of a sudden, I'm like, this guy used to be the smartest guy in the class. How is he getting into an issue? I go on my phone. I'm scrolling on Twitter, and all of a sudden, I see this thread on this person. He was like, "What happened to the smartest guy in your class?" And it was basically giving threads. One person suicided, one person became mentally ill, one person became an alcoholic, one person went on drugs. And I was like, bro, I just literally thought this guy was the smartest guy in my class. What usually happens to the smartest guy in the class? By the way, at times I used to be the smartest guy in the class too, just so you know. Just so you know. But do you know what I mean? Anytime you think of something, you'll see that somewhere online. Think of anything, a dining table, you'll see an ad about a dining table on TikTok or on Twitter or on Google, on YouTube, anything, which is insane. They catch your thoughts. They don't just catch the text that you sent, even though they catch that. They don't just catch the voice notes that you sent, even though they catch that. They catch everything. And so if you think you're like, but what's the scary part? Because if I don't have anything to hide, why am I so worried about my privacy? That's almost like saying there's comments on this video that say the same thing. They're like, that's literally almost like you're saying, what's the point of free speech if you don't have anything nice to say? If you don't have anything controversial to say, if you don't have anything amazing to say, if you don't have anything to stand up for to say. Do you know what I mean? So these things matter, Habibi.
So you're looking at your phone and you have all of these facilities, but it is the world's greatest spy device, designed as a spy device.
Why am I calling this the Dajjal system? I'm calling this the Dajjal system because the Dajjal is going to be in every household. It's going to be in every household, and it's almost like it's going to have tentacles that control everything. So the tentacles of the Dajjal is Google, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, all these things. These are like the hands, the eyes of the Dajjal. Do you see what I mean? It knows everything about you. It knows you better than you know yourself. I'm telling you that the Dajjal is going to try to almost like it's literally going to try to become God. And so God is all aware. So the Dajjal is trying to be all aware.
Now, before we delve into what happens when you click on an adult movie, let's first understand who John McAfee is, for those unfamiliar. McAfee, the inventor of antivirus software, knows a thing or two about cybersecurity, having once hacked the US government, an action that landed him in hot water as widely reported in the media. Later in this video, he will share insights on how any cell phone can be hacked within 30 minutes and offer tips on how to protect yourself. Now, let's hear him explain the immediate consequences of clicking on adult films. As McAfee points out, nothing is free, especially not on these platforms, which monetize user interactions in ways you might not expect.
Now, something that you may not know is that over half of all smartphones, both iOS and Android, are infected with keystroke logging software. This is a known fact. Every pornography site in the world, if you have ever, I'm sure nobody here has ever looked at pornography, but if you have, if there's a rare exception, then you have keystroke logging software. How do you think they make their money? See, this is the issue. It costs millions of dollars to maintain these massive databases and have the bandwidth to disperse this pornography, and yet you don't pay. Yes, you're paying. The instant you visit the site, if you have an Android, for example, the site runs a JavaScript which sets the download unauthorized application flag. The very first video that you watch, you now, because that's a click-through, you clicked, you did something, said, yes, oh, good, that's yes, I'll do that. Downloads, first and foremost, a remote rooting function. If it's an iPhone, a remote jailbreaking program. All can be remotely rooted now. After it's rooted, they download a keylogger, and all this takes just a matter of seconds. And from that point on, somebody is watching every single one of your keystrokes. And the Russian cyber mafia and the Chinese cyber mafia are so powerful. They pay literally hundreds of millions of dollars to these pornography sites to allow them to access your smartphone so that at some point they can utilize that. So it's something to think about.
This stark reality, confirmed by cybersecurity research, underscores the sheer pervasiveness of these threats. Recent studies have shown that 1 in 10 devices are subjected to some form of malware attack per year, with devices accessing adult content at 3 times the risk. The mechanisms of these attacks are often hidden in plain sight, disguised as harmless pop-ups or mandatory updates. This exploitative strategy not only breaches individual privacy, but also sets a precedent for broader security vulnerabilities. Consider the scenario with the FBI and Apple. If we are so vulnerable to attacks from a simple website visit, imagine the implications of legally mandated backdoors in our devices. Now, as we delve into how any device can be hacked with seemingly minimal effort, remember, the tools used by malicious hackers are sometimes no more sophisticated than those proposed for law enforcement. We stand on a precipice where our personal devices, once thought secure, could be turned against us with just a few lines of code. Let's now consider the profound implications of this vulnerability. The FBI's request to Apple to alter its software to bypass security checks opens a Pandora's box. Once such software exists, it can be misused on any device, not just the one in question. John McAfee is about to detail how simple this process can be, risking his standing at the time within the world hackers community. It's imperative that we grasp not only the ease with which these systems can be manipulated, but also the potential consequences of such actions. He brings decades of cybersecurity expertise and a controversial past that underscores his deep understanding of these issues.
These devices are computers, whether it's an Android phone, an iOS phone, or whatever. Inside is a processor, which is the computer, the instruction set, which is the iOS and all the applications that you run, and the memory in which you store your data. Now, let's take the FBI case. The FBI wants Apple to change their software so that it removes the check for security, so that we don't check for security anymore. Once it has that software, it can use that software on any phone. But they say they only need it for one phone. So I'm going to tell the world exactly how we do this. Now, I'll probably lose my admission to the world hackers community. However, I'm going to tell you, you need a hardware engineer and a software engineer. The hardware engineer takes the phone apart, and it copies the instruction set, which is the iOS and applications, and your memory. And then you run a piece of a program called a disassembler, which takes all the ones and zeros and gives you readable instructions. Then the coder sits down and he reads through. And what he's looking for is the first access to the keypad, because that's the first thing you're doing when you input your pad. It'll take half an hour. When you see that, then he reads the instructions for where in memory this secret code is stored. It is that trivial. A half an hour. The FBI knows this. Apple knows this. And this is not an indictment of Apple. Any computer, and this is a computer, any computer that falls into someone's hands, well, anybody can do it, which is why corporate data centers keep their computers locked up, and which is why we ought to keep our own phones locked up. It's not an indictment of Apple. Any computer, any software, whether it's Android, Apple, or what have you, can be done. We can do this with any machine. And it is a half-hour job. The FBI knows this. And if it does not, we are in deep trouble, because it should know this. Now, In either case, if they don't know it, well, that's tragic. If they do know it, then they are deceiving the American public and Apple and everyone else by asking for a universal key. So in either case, we are in deep trouble. America, please get a clue here.
In the last few years of his life, John McAfee delved deeply into the underpinnings of cybersecurity, choosing to expose the full extent of his knowledge on the subject. Many of his assertions about hacking and digital surveillance have proven accurate, positioning him as one of the earliest whistleblowers to shed light on these clandestine practices. His outspoken stance serves as a potent reminder of the necessity for all of us to be well informed about the technology we use daily. It's crucial to understand not just the features marketed to us, but also the underlying mechanisms and potential vulnerabilities of our devices.
Habibi, listen here. Okay, listen. If they can hack, or if they can't hack, if they can do this, or if they can't do this, it doesn't matter. Why are you clicking on porn sites? That's the question. Why are you clicking on porn sites? Why are you still watching this thing? If they hacked your device, whatever. The only being that you should have fear of, and by fear, I'm not saying be so scared, I'm saying have respect. Fear in terms of, in the way of respect, is Allah. Allah. Have taqwa of Allah. So if they can hack your site or if they can't hack your site, it doesn't matter. It's almost like saying, like, are you scared of a magician that does black magic? You shouldn't be scared. Why shouldn't you be scared? Because if you're connected to Allah, why would you be scared? Why would you be scared? You don't work by the rules of the hacker or by the magician. You work by the rules of Allah. So then forget about all these things and just ask yourself, why are you clicking on these websites? Just stop clicking on these websites. You realize if you just follow the teachings of Allah, you'll be good automatically. If you just have taqwa of Allah, you'll be good automatically. And then you have the entire population just clicking on these things. Everybody is guilty of it, by the way. But you're only going to be like sinful if you keep doing it. If you did it and then you ask for forgiveness, sincere forgiveness, and then you completely stopped, you actually stopped, then you're good. Then you're good. So then you shouldn't be worried anymore. But if you're still clicking on it, then you should be ashamed, man. Be ashamed, but then get back to Allah, and that's it. Then forget about everything and just move on with your life, and that's it. Go look for something better to do. But if you keep every day like an animal, oh, I'm feeling like I'm lonely, I'm feeling like I'm gonna, get some relief, and then you go and you click on these things, Habib, what are you doing, man? What are you doing? You should have grown by now. It doesn't matter how old are you, you should have grown by now. At the time of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, there used to be people who were like 13, 14. They used to be leaders. Now, if you're 13, 14, you can't even take the garbage out. Which is so sad, bro. But anyway, stop getting so worried. Just stop clicking. Stop clicking and then you're good. So I'm hoping at least, if you're not scared of Allah, like at least you should be scared of hackers, which is so sad to say, man. So sad to say, because you should have stopped long time ago. But if this does not make you stop watching these ugly videos, nothing's going to ever make you stop. Literally nothing.